United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Councilman Hutchins, please.
Father, we thank you for this time. We just ask that you'll give us wisdom tonight as we discuss and make decisions on city business. And we just thank you again for this evening. We thank you for, it looks like we're going to have some rain. We just need more of it. And we just ask this all in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis.
Present.
Hutchins.
Present.
Candia. Present. Mayor Pro Tem Martina.
Present.
Mayor Caton.
Present. And report out of closed session. Direction was given to staff and legal counsel. And so we'll move to item 5, declaration of conflict of interest. Seeing none, we'll move to item 6, ceremonial matters. Seeing none, we'll go to item 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. Any member of the public wish to speak to the council, now is the time to do it. Murray, have anything to say? Okay. Item 8, consent calendar. A is waive all readings of ordinances and resolutions except by title. B is approval of the warrants. C is approval of the minutes of the March 11, 2014 meeting.
I'll make a motion we approve the consent calendar as is.
I second that motion.
Then a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Item 9, public hearings. Adopt resolution number 2014, next to number, a resolution declaring the existence of a public nuisance under ordinance number 95-4. Michael, you got that?
Yes. Sorry. Thank you, Mayor. Under our property maintenance procedures, we have identified a particular project, property site that has not come into compliance. A final compliance survey was done on Monday, and that property is not there, has not been cleaned. The property is 1284 Duckline Circle, and there are some pictures for you to see. There's some debris on the porch there, and the front yard is really starting to get overgrown. That's an area where most people are mowing their lawns on a consistent manner. So it does not look like this would be a big issue to maintain or clean up. So again, we did a compliance check yesterday. It was not in compliance. So we're asking that you hold the public hearing, give the property owner an opportunity to rebut. If not, move forward.
Any questions or comments for the city manager?
Just, Michael, it looks like this is it actually still pretty green out there? It's not, because they look pretty high. Are they drying up or?
No, it's still pretty green out there.
So it's not really a public safety hazard?
They still run their sprinklers.
Oh, okay.
So it's just green. It just has not been maintained in a long time. It's an active residence for the property owners that have resided in that residence for a number of years.
They're still in the house?
They're still in the house, correct.
Jeez, okay.
Really? Okay.
Correct.
That's a new one.
There's actually flowers and other things on there. It's just gotten to a point where it's severely reaching a point of overgrown and just needs to be manicured.
Okay. All right.
And have 3 letters been sent to them?
Yes.
That's strange.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Any public wish to have comment? Seeing none, bring it back to council for direction.
I move we adopt resolution number 2014, next to number, declaring the existence of a public nuisance under ordinance number 95-4.
Second the motion.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Item 10A, report to the city council and successor agency recommending transfer of properties from the successor agency to the city. Lou.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, chairman, and board members. We have 2 resolutions before you tonight. One would be adopted by the successor agency, authorizing the transfer of 4 properties that were formerly owned by the RDA to the city. The other resolution would be adopted by the city council, accepting the transfer of those properties. These 4 properties this transfer has been approved by the Oversight Board and also by the Department of Finance. Once this is completed, we will actually go to title and get these transferred over. These 4 properties are, the first one is the grassy area of our plaza. The next one is the McBride Building, which is located on the plaza. The other 2 properties are Howard Hill Park and the large area which would be our future aquatic center. The Our attorneys have advised us that we need to take separate action on each of these, so vote on the successor agency resolution first, and then on the one for the city. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I just have a quick question for Nubia. Since I'm chairman of the successor board, can I vote on the first resolution?
You are the mayor's he's the mayor's appointed member of the oversight board, and therefore it has been elected the chairman of that board. So
Okay. I don't believe that there's any problem with that.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, on item 1, need a motion to adopt resolution 2014 next in number on item 1.
I'll make a motion, we adopt resolution number 2014, next number, resolution of the successor agency to the dissolved redevelopment agency of the city of Newman, approving the transfer to city of certain properties.
I second that motion.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. On item 2, need a separate motion.
I move we adopt resolution number 2014, next in number, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Newman accepting the transfer of certain properties from the successor agency to the city.
Second the motion.
We'll give Roberta.
Okay.
Been a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lou. Okay, we'll go to item B, consider financial close for South County Corridor. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. As you may know, there are 3 main corridors that have been identified in Stanislaus County. The first is a North County corridor, which basically is linking Highway 99 into the mountainous area and essentially up into the riverbank and Oakdale area. There's the Central Corridor, which is essentially the 132 corridor that links I-5 and Highway 99 and then leads out ultimately to the Waterford area. The third corridor is a little bit less known, but the third corridor is the South County corridor. And again, that's a linkage between 99 and 5 or 5 and I-5 and 99, depending on how you look at it. Now, this corridor has been getting a lot more publicity lately because of some of the industrial and business growth that's occurring both on the west side, but also in the area of West Turlock, where you see the Blue Diamond Nut Company in that area. So with that being said, they're at a point to where a feasibility study is necessary to help establish what that corridor is going to look like and identify any opportunities and constraints. Constraints may be things on the ground. Is there wetlands out there? Are there bugs or plants that might pose a problem over there? Where are the potential river crossings, because you'll have to cross the San Joaquin River at some point and the like. They've kind of, in essence, have narrowed it down to 2 points on each side, and really what we're looking at on the 99 side, which would be the easternmost side of the corridor at 99, it's really the Fulkerth interchange or the Main Street interchange, or the 2 interchange areas that they're looking at, and both have their pros and cons to it. Main Street, that already links out to Patterson, so there's an established corridor there. However, there's more of a built environment with the theater and the likes there, so if you're trying to move traffic through there may be some congestion. Whereby Fulkerth is not as built out. There's a little bit more area in terms of doing some interchange improvements that may be helpful there. So they're going to look at both of those. What's important to the west side, though, is where that terminates at I-5. Our neighbors up to the north would like it to tie in around Zacharias Road. The city of Patterson has a large industrial business complex for which the first phase is, Amazon and Kohl's and all those, and those kind of tie in there. But up on the north side, there's a big annexation of 1,000 acres. They would like to tie it in there. Staff has also said, well, we don't necessarily think that's a bad idea. We also think that this feasibility study needs to look at tying Stanislaus County into southbound I-5. or if you're coming from Southern California into Northern California, that we want to tie it in on the southern part of Stanislaus County. Right now, if you're in the central part of Stanislaus County, let's say on the 99 corridor, in order to go south to Southern California, you're probably going down Lander, 165. Well, for those of you who have been down there between Hillmar and Stevenson, it's a very narrow bridge that's antiquated. Then you go through Stevenson, then you go through some significant amount of wetlands on a 2-lane arterial, and then you have to go through Los Banos before you ultimately, Mercy Springs Road takes you out to I-5. We think it may be some value in having that connection into southbound I-5, maybe tying this into Fink Road and having that corridor come off that way. Stancog, for which the mayor sits on the board, has allotted $200,000 for a feasibility study. After the partner group, which is the city of Patterson, Turlock, Newman, Stanislaus County, and Stancog, after we all got together and really started talking about what we need to study, it was determined that $200,000 might be a little short for really doing a quality feasibility report. With that being said, Stanislaus County stepped up to the plate and said, look, we'll throw in another $100,000 if the other 3 cities can partner together and get $50,000 together for a total price tag of $350,000. With Patterson and Turlock being a lot larger, they've agreed to take on $22,000 apiece of that $50,000, leaving the city of Newman $6,000 financial pledge for this particular project. We can utilize LTF funds, which are non-general funds, but they're transportation related. We can use LTF funds for this $6,000 so we don't have to tap our general fund reserve for this. We think it's a worthwhile endeavor to invest this $6,000 into this feasibility study. Any economic development that occurs on the west side, whether it's actually in our boundaries or not, is going to be good for our community and for our residents with a population, an unemployment of in excess of 20%. Any economic activity we can get over here on the west side is good. So with that, staff is recommending that the council authorize $6,000 in LTF funds to be used towards the South County Corridor feasibility report. And with that, I can answer any questions that you may have.
Questions or comments for city manager?
I've got a couple of questions, Michael, especially on the Zacharias one. When Zacharias actually comes out over on I-5, you're only 5 miles from the 132 corridor.
Yeah, it's fair, and that's one of the deal points that I try to bring forward to the study committee, that we need to evaluate a southern tie-in as well, because all of a sudden there's a lot of duplication. Does the South County corridor just mirror a Central County corridor? And if that's the case, then why are we spending ultimately hundreds of millions of dollars to do the same thing and only end up in a 10-mile difference? So that'll be something that'll be looked at in this feasibility report.
And because of the second part of that is also where Zacharias comes out, you're really not going south because I-5 actually runs closer to east-west up there. So you're still going a lot further west to go south than you are if you come down even to Fink Road or something like that.
Correct. Yeah, if you're going to go to Southern California or Southern Central California, if you will, Fresno County and down below, you will not be traveling the South County corridor to get there. So are we going to be a Bay Area centric county? Are we not going to try to tie ourselves into South Central California as well as Southern California? I think those are some of the conversations that need to be had, and those are the conversations that either myself or our Public Works Director, Mr. Kim, will be bringing forth during this feasibility study, as we both will probably be sitting on the team.
And I had already kind of chimed in at Stancog, I like to consider myself a team player, and I understand the concept, but my thought is people from Turlock, Modesto, Stockton, or whatever that area, to our east side, Oakdale, whatever, I just don't see anybody, if this ever happens in my lifetime, taking that route to get to I-5. I think people are gonna jump on 99 and head south and/or take the Lander, even though that's a treacherous road out there. They're gonna use that. Nobody's gonna travel northwest to go south. I
almost think of this like, like Stockton did. It'd be a little bit longer, but when they tied I-5 and 99 together, they built a brand-new interchange all the way across the crosstown,
Yeah.
which actually made more sense than trying to utilize the existing 4 to make it a movement area. So have they thought about that, or are they just looking at already using just an existing corridor?
No, this is a feasibility study, so this is supposed to flush
Right.
and identify the opportunities and constraints for whatever that corridor is going to be and what makes the most sense. And this will probably not identify a final alignment, but it will narrow it down to just a couple. And there's not much more than a couple out there if you really think about it. I mean, to put in a new river crossing, think of all the environmental that would have to be done and some of those other things on there. So, really it's going to be Main Street crossing or probably Fink Road crossing.
Well, even with the idea that the county has already committed to doing something with the West Main Cross Landing interchange already, as far as widening that and putting lights in and turn lanes and so forth, so on. So probably getting from the Turlock area to the river, if that's the direction they went, wouldn't be that big of an issue.
Right.
It's after the fact is
Right.
where they're going to have to decide which way they're going to go.
Well, either way, they're going to have to retrofit bridges because
Yes.
neither one of those bridges is made for heavy truck traffic.
Yeah. Yeah.
As well as Zacharias would require a all-new interchange at the interstate, whereby Fink, if it tied in there, would be an interchange improvements that ultimately equals dollars and cents. And
Yeah.
again, if you think about it environmental-wise too, going to Zacharias, you're talking all-new aqueduct and Delta Mendota crossings, as well as a new interchange in a tight area there. So hopefully this will flush out some of those constraints.
And I think it will, and again, I told the other members that, as far as the city of Newman is concerned, I like to say, consider us as team players and what's going to work best for the county as a whole, and the South County as a whole, so that's why I supported it, and so, but I told them once it come back to the council, there's 4 other people who got a say in it, so.
Well, I think the feasibility study is absolutely necessary. I worry about predetermined.
Yeah.
Well, you can be assured that your staff will make sure, because originally they had a preconceived notion of where they wanted to go, and
Yes,
the
they
county and our sister city to the north were really pushing that alignment, and we got in there and fought for it and said, wait a minute, from a county perspective, this has to be looked at in terms of a southern alignment.
Right.
And you have to look at that and see, you can't just rule that out before we actually study it. So with that, the $6,000 LTF money is a good investment.
Any other questions?
I'd make a motion that we accept the $6,000 for the feasibility study for the South County corridor.
Motion, is there a second?
I second that motion.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. C, adopt resolution number 2014, next number, resolution authorizing city manager to authorize the city, that's, I did it, Michael, sorry. Authorize city manager to execute an agreement for the city attorney legal services with Churchill White LLP.
On this particular matter, I will be recusing myself and stepping out, but I will be available to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Mayor, as you know, the city has had a long and successful relationship with Mr. Tom Hallinan, and he's been our city attorney for a number of years, and prior to that, his father as well. It's unfortunate that another Stanislaus County city that he represents has elected to have their city council meetings on the same days as ours, which is the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. Mr. Hallinan, who has a commitment to them, is going to be serving as their city attorney during those meetings. Mr. Hallinan has a relationship with the Churchwell White law firm, for which Ms. Nubia Goldstein is a member and associate of that. We've used them for a number of legal areas. So with that, it's being proposed that Churchwell White will assume Mr. Hallinan's contract for the same amount, as well as provide the same level of service in terms of attending the meetings and giving us 10 hours a month of general municipal law counsel. And that would be in addition to, Ms. Phaedra Norton, who also gives us 10 hours a month through the city of Turlock. Ms. Norton, by having two city attorneys, has reviewed the contract. She found it to be in order. We're going to discuss just the addition of automobile liability insurance and making sure that they have the right coverages, and that'll be placed in this contract. Other than that, she said the contract was in order for the city to move forward, so they choose. So, my personal thought is I've had a good working relationship with Nubia, and she's been very responsive to our needs when we need to get a hold of her. And so we'd like to continue that relationship, but ultimately it's up to the council at this point in time. So we would continue the relationship with both Ms. Goldstein and Ms. Phaedra Norton, and then they would work as well together. We're going to be doing a conference call on another legal matter shortly, so we'll bring her up to speed. So with that, I can answer any questions that you may have.
Questions or comments of the city manager?
Just a comment, I think that we've been fortunate to have her fill in for Tom, so we've had an opportunity to know her and see how well she does. I mean, I think she's a great choice.
Yep.
And this is, since it is a law firm, Nubia will be the one that is assigned at our choice, is that?
Yes, they are proposing that Nubia would be assigned this role as the city attorney on there. And that's part of the, I believe we attach the engagement letter, and that's identified in the engagement letter, as well as the contract.
Hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to review the contract, and so with the recommendation of the city manager, I look for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we adopt resolution number 2014, next number, resolution authorizing city manager to authorizing the city manager to authorizing the city manager.
Take out one of those authorizations.
I like that. To execute an agreement for city attorney legal services with Churchwell White LLP.
I'll second that motion.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Somebody retrieve our city attorney.
When she walks in, tell her sorry.
There's a TV out there.
Oh, that's right. Turn down low, but you
You know, after a long, lengthy discussion.
Sorry.
You drew a lucky star. Welcome.
Welcome. We feel
Thank you
fortunate.
very much.
Ed told me to say that, by the way.
Okay, moving on to item 11, items from District 5 Supervisor. He's not present. We'll go to item 12, items from the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Just for FYI, we did get a letter from the Center for Human Services. They wanted to thank you for your contribution to the Westside Weekend Wellness Program. It's been a big success, and it's all going towards our kids and making sure they have a healthy weekend, and then no one's going hungry in our community. So they wanted to thank you for that. Just a little FYI. The Dollar General is slated to open in the next coming weeks. It'll be open probably in 2 weeks or less. As you can see, the landscape is starting to get put in. The building's really taking on a life of its own. They're starting to move product in, their shelves in, and so they will generally be given a temporary occupancy permit, as there's still a couple outstanding on-site, off-site improvements that need to be done. They will be bonding for those at 150% of the cost. If they don't complete those in a timely manner, then we cash the bond and do those improvements. I believe most of those are really tied to the storm drainage. Just a reminder that spring cleanup is coming up, and that'll be April 7th through the 12th. Information can be obtained on that from our website, as well as at City Hall. The last date for curbside leaf and brush pickup is Monday. So if you have any last prunings to do, now's the time to get them done and get them out on your curb by Monday. If you have not done so, please complete your Form 700s. I believe most, if not all of them, have been submitted, and we appreciate that. Again, we're working with you to get these done. Ultimately, it's the responsibility of you as an individual council member. Ultimately, the Fair Practice, Political Practice Committee comes after you, not us as a city. So if there's anything that we can do to help you, please let us know, but we need to get those in as soon as possible. We're going to be reviewing the urban growth boundary ordinance at your next meeting. We're not going to be asking for direction or at that particular meeting. We're just going to give us your general take, what you think of it, and then we'll bring it back with the associated and the necessary ordinance and resolutions and all the like that go along with that. So that'll be submitted to you at your next meeting. And then lastly, opening day for Little League Baseball is Saturday.
Amen.
So get out and grab a hot dog and a soda and watch a game. Okay, that's all that I had. I can answer any questions at the council.
Questions or comments for the city manager?
I just had one, Michael, on Dollar General. You say there's parts that have to be completed yet. Does that tie in to a stoplight, or is that gutters and curbs?
It's underground. It's storm drainage is the main work. What you're seeing right now is it's a two-part, because we are doing intersections improvements at Inyo and 33, basically where Yancey and the mini storage is. There's an absence of sidewalks and landscaping along that. When we do our project, the intersection, that's when those improvements will be brought in.
Okay. The only reason I asked, because I said with the Dollar General going in, it's going to change the traffic, and I'm sure that they're going to need a stop sign at that point, so I don't know how far that is in the future.
That's an interesting conversation point, and thank you for bringing it up, because we just had a long conversation with our traffic engineer, Mr. Katie Anderson, yesterday about it. The traffic warrants in order to install that signal are several years away. Even with AutoZone going in, even with Dollar General going in, and even if we Manos Ranch, which is on Prince Road on the other side, put those residential in, he still anticipates it's going to be a number of years before Caltrans allows us to install the actual traffic light at that intersection. He says that the warrants are not being met. Now, we're going to again work with Mr. Anderson on this to see if we can come up with, and Caltrans, to see, because we're considered an urbanized area, can we be considered a rural area, that the warrants are a little bit less, and so the light may not go up for a while, with what I'm trying to tell you, Councilman.
I thought that conversation was being had, that it was, for some reason, I was under the understanding it was coming quickly.
Well, and the intersection improvements are scheduled for 15-16, which is just a 1 year off. And what we're going to do is then we're going to plumb it and put all the wiring in. But the actual hanging of the lights and electrifying the lights, we cannot do that until there's traffic warrants meeting Caltrans standards.
Even with the railroad crossing there?
Even with the railroad crossing there. So we do not, because it's a state highway, we do not have control over when those lights get turned on. That will be solely a Caltrans direction.
So is that, Michael, is it strictly based on the warrants and what they say the traffic flow is, and or is there another way we can go about politically to get that?
We are working with Mr. Anderson again. We just had that conversation with him yesterday. He's exploring all the options that we have to do it in a non-political way. If that does not get the results, then you and I and other members of the council, if you like, can talk about, is there a political way to get that installed a little bit earlier on there? But let us see where those warrants come back. We'll report back to you at your April 8th meeting in terms of what the current traffic model says. Now, what you have to remember is there are peak times when there's a lot of traffic and you have to sit at that intersection. There's no doubt. What Mr. Anderson is sharing with us or explaining to us is when Caltrans look at it, it has to be an all-day-long event. It just can't be when school's getting out or going to school, and there's a lot of traffic at those particular points in time. It has to be a all-day-long type of event, and we may not have the necessary traffic demand to put that signal up and electrify it.
Or a major accident happens.
Yeah,
Well-
yeah, and there's been plenty of accidents at that intersection. So I mean, I have a pretty decent relationship with Ken Baxter, who's the District 10 Caltrans guy. And he's one I voiced my displeasure about our signs up on I-5 changing, so forth, so on. I don't know what avenues Mr. Anderson wants to take the non-political way, but it seems to me sometimes the political way works quicker.
Right. Well, again, Mayor, we'll know in the next couple of days in terms of the traffic warrants and the traditional way of finding getting the traffic signals up. So we'll have that information within the next probably 2 or 3 days. Then at the April 8th meeting, we can share that information with you, and then we can kind of maybe come to a conclusion on what our other options may be at that point in time. And that may include a conversation with Mr. Baxter and to see what kind of.
Yeah, and I don't know, how much influence our senator has, but, I mean, sometimes, a phone call might help. I don't know, I mean, if he can talk to Baxter and Baxter can talk to his people and their people talk to their people, and sometimes things happen a little bit quickly.
Sure. But
So.
let us get the results
Okay.
from the.
My last comment is that if you drive that intersection, you'll know if you're headed west at that intersection and want to turn onto 33 and make a left turn, it is very difficult. And it just, the way the whole intersection is set up, it's not conducive for a car to even make a left turn there. So hopefully something can be resolved at that, because I think it's going to be a dangerous situation where someone is making a left on 33 going west and a car is coming across going west. It's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, it's a very odd shaped kind of intersection.
Yeah, it's really odd.
Yeah,
It's offset.
Yeah.
It's
and
an
there-
offset intersection.
And there's tight turning radiuses on certain corners and some of them, it's
Now, you talked about some of the things they're going to do, 15 and 16 with that. Would that take care of some of that, or would that not include that at all?
yeah, we're going to, with the improvements that we're anticipating 15, 16, that basically will take that intersection to full build out.
Okay.
And so, I can maybe get a preliminary sketch for you, for the council if you'd like, and we can take a look
Yeah,
at that. and
that would
see.
make a big difference,
And
Michael.
then you can get a picture
Yeah.
of what ultimately we're talking about when we
Yeah.
say intersections improvements at INJO, and you'll see what that looks like. So
Great.
I'll see if I can get you one for an informational item next
Okay,
time.
thank you.
Michael, will that also include sidewalks at the dealership? Because that's always been one of the problems, turning left onto 33, is they can move their cars almost right out to the street, and so you're almost pulling out into that offset just to see.
Yeah, I don't know how much right-of-way there is at that dealership. We'll have to, I know we're going to have to purchase some right-of-way for this particular project. I don't know if there's going to be enough to extend those sidewalks all the way to Nob Hill, I believe is what you're speaking about,
Right.
where that's there. And we will take a look at that as part of that, and let me familiarize myself with it, and maybe that's something that we can, again, informally talk about at our next meeting.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for the city manager? Okay, we'll move to staff. Stephanie, anything?
Just 2 items. Today, staff met with Department of Parks and Rec representative for the LWCF grant, the Land and Water Conservation Fund for the Skate Plaza. So they did a site visit today, checked out the site, asked us a few questions. They tell us that we should have word whether or not we received the grant by end of April. Also, just wanted to let the council know that the Tulare Street project is mobilizing, and we should see work starting in early April, and that's the CDBG project that you awarded at the last meeting. Happy to answer any questions.
Great. Questions, comments from staff? Thank you. Luke?
Nothing tonight.
Kim?
Okay, good evening. A couple of items to update, especially the drought emergency as well as water conservation. Rainfall to date is 4.56 inch. That is about 61% compared with last year, but still we need more rain. So hopefully tonight or tomorrow or this week, we are expecting some rain, hopefully a lot. City Court, Chapter 11-05230, that's regarding irrigation of lawns and landscaping. So including all outside watering, including lawns and landscaping, shall be prohibited between 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. So Public Works staff got a brief training on how to respond to these types of violation until November 15th this year. So for example, bubble warning or NOV, notice of violation with fine. So we have pretty good training recently to provide a good direction to the resident. Public Works staff attended a countywide drought action task force meeting. This is a countywide the effort to overcome the drought emergency situation. So, and also we updated the city's water conservation and water well improvement project. A drought action plan is under development, just in case any various catastrophic scenarios. For example, water well fail in a summer season. So how can we respond to the problem? So we are developing several types of scenarios based on all information coming from Drought Action Task Force. The last item is regarding the FEMA Community Rating System, CRS. Today, FEMA Region 9 staff contact the city and announced that they are going to remove all outstanding violations which were issued by the Department of Water Resources in 2010. There are several properties missing some key information. It's like a elevation certificate. The city staff provide a lot of documentation related to those properties, and finally they removed all the violation outstanding issues. So no more issue with past DWR, the violation letter. With that, the Public Works staff is working on FEMA CRS specialist visit on May 6th. So after that, we are expecting to submit a CRS application in May. So hopefully we can get a really good discount rate on flood insurance premium. That's what I have. Any questions?
Any questions or comments? Only thing I have, hopefully, in the city, we've made sure that all of our timers are set where our own sprinklers are not coming on during those hours of
Yes,
conservation?
we discussed that item as well.
Okay.
Because when we ask the resident, do not do this, but we irrigating the water during the time, that's not good. So we had the meeting.
No, I assure you, we'll get phone calls.
I will make sure.
Okay, thank you. Items from council members. Don?
Just once again, looking forward to Saturday, the opening of baseball season, and it's going to be a busy Saturday.
Yes, it is. Roberta?
I don't have anything tonight.
Bob?
I have nothing.
Nick?
Nothing tonight.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Adjourn.
Third.
All right, good night, everybody.